This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Arrowgate, what a commanding performance. He won the Travers by 12 in a final time of 1 minute 59.36 seconds. The fastest Travers ever and a new track record.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Welcome back to OTB TV on this Thursday morning and the kickoff to Racing Across America. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. I'll reiterate again a couple of the promos coming up at Capital OTB. If you're a fan and a regular patron at the Queensbury branch, we want to see you there today. Fan Appreciation Day at the Queensbury branch. Contest, food and beverages, should be a lot of fun. Swing on by. If you're not coming down to the track, track's first choice, but certainly if you're a patron of Queensbury, again, give us our chance to say thank you to you. And also, I do want to remind you the bounty bet tomorrow, $1,237 and change. If you're the lone pick for a winner, and again, that's of Capital OTB bettors, you pull down the entire 1,200 plus. Otherwise, there's a consolation if there are multiple hits. But you don't have to do anything special. Just play the late pick four tomorrow at Saratoga with your Capital OTB Bets account. Should be a lot of fun. Always is. The bounty bet, Fridays throughout the Saratoga meet. All right, coming up on today's show, should be a lot of fun. Tommy Albertrani will join us in just a couple of minutes. He's got runner in the Curlin tomorrow. He's got a couple of stakes runners coming up on Saturday. We'll hit on those and much more. Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum. Mike and Dave Grenig are going to alternate on Thursdays as we've done in previous years. Mike, of course, the great workout watcher up here at Saratoga and beyond. The Triple Crown races, he leads into those. Most of the year he's down in Florida. You get great workout reports via Mike and the Daily Racing Forum, and we'll talk some of the weekend stakes action with Mike coming up a little bit later. And then towards the end of the program, Carrie Briand. She'll be riding the Jonathan Shepard jumper today in the AP Smithwick. She's been a long-time assistant to Jonathan Shepard. Now she's on board some of the horses, so we'll talk with her about all of those experiences. So as I say, should be a fun show. An hour ahead, we're at about 5 after 10. That gives us about 50 or 55 minutes of action-packed excitement here on Racing Across America, live from Saratoga. We'll take a quick break, and we'll kick it all off right after this.
Whether you're winding down from a day at the track or gearing up for the night, celebrate summer with live music, fabulous food, and the best happy hour in Saratoga. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
Don't miss the 2017 Thoroughfan Annual Awards Brunch with special guest speaker Donna Barton Brothers. This annual event is Saturday, August 12th at the Embassy Suites in Saratoga Springs, New York. Go to thoroughfan.com for tickets and information.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. with live horse racing on more than 250 flat screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Relax with a signature cocktail or one of our world-class wine selections while enjoying indoor or outdoor dining for lunch and dinner. The Diamond Club at the Embassy Suites, winner of the 2016 and 2017 Wine Spectator Award of Excellence.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. Happy to be joined now by Tom Albatrani. He's got some stakes runners in tomorrow and on Saturday as well. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Happy to have you join us this morning. I know it's always busy up at Saratoga with runner tomorrow in the Curlin, a couple of stakes runners coming up on the weekend, so we appreciate your stopping by and talking a little bit about the runners. But before we do that, I just wanted to get a little background. Whenever we have people over here, I like to get some of the nuts and bolts of the game and background for folks. Talk a little bit about how you first got into the game.
Well, I started when I was 13. I was a hot walker for my uncle, Jack Abatamarco. He brought me around during summers and weekends whenever I was out of school, and I just, took a compassion for the business, and eventually I wanted to be a jockey. I was able to accomplish that when I was 19 years old, and did it for a couple of years. I was kind of tall, and my weight wasn't always light, so I was just happy to do that for a couple of years, and then I moved on and eventually became an assistant trainer at Bill Mott for almost 10 years, and after that I went overseas to Dubai in England and trained for Godolphin for a number of years, and eventually came back to the States and started a string up here.
Where did you start when you said you were 13 and you were hot walking? Where was that?
I was at Belmont Park.
So it was down in New York. You've been a New York guy through and through.
All my life. Yeah.
When you were riding in New York?
I did a little bit of riding in New York, Jersey. Did that for a couple of years.
Did you ride up here?
I rode a couple of races up here. Yeah.
And just looking at, because I pulled up your Equibase stats on the jockey side, just looking at the timeline, I guess you were probably overlapping the Cordero, George Velasquez, and Maple kind of era.
They were in the colony back in that time of the year. Yeah.
And talk about being a new guy with veterans like that in the room. Is there competitiveness, or as you got into the game, would the veterans kind of bring the new guys in a little bit?
They did. They brought us along a little bit. They tried to give you pointers whenever they could. But once you're on the track, it's very competitive.
and is it different now? It seems like, because I've heard Rich Migliori talk about essentially, we all know that they call the 7 and 5 pound apprentices, but it seems like the way he describes it, it really was an apprenticeship where you were kind of tied in with somebody and they brought you along and taught you in the morning as you were working horses. And it seems a little bit different now. Is it different from when you first got into the game as a jockey?
I think it's a little different. And now you have a lot of riders that come from the schools, and they come well prepared and well schooled. So, like the Irad brothers, you could see, they came along, I think, from those type of schools. And when they come here, they're almost experienced riders.
Yeah. And so you spent the early part as a jockey, and I'm just wondering, as a trainer, does that give you a different insight? Are you more forgiving after a race and they come back and they've got an excuse, or are you saying, "Oh, I'm not buying that because I was out there"?
No, well, you have a better understanding what goes on out there. It's easy to look at a TV screen and you say, well, you should have done that, or you could have gone outside or inside, but when you're out there, it's a little different, and I respect that.
Yeah, as a fan, I can kind of realize that it's still hard not to. Oh, why do you do that? But they're out there at 40 miles an hour and in the thick of things.
Exactly,
it's a little bit different.
Exactly.
You talked about being tied in with Darley and going around the world, reading your career bio, really Asia and Europe and Japan, Australia. Comment a little bit about the differences and the similarities, maybe more the differences overseas as compared to America.
Well, the racing is totally different. You do a lot more turf racing there, a lot more traveling from race course to race course. Every race course is totally different. The training styles is different from what we do here. So when I went over there, it took me a lot to get adjusted to and, train by their methods more than the American way. But it's a little different, but I think racing is racing, and there's plenty of good racing over there too.
Yeah, in Dubai, that's certainly over there. But it's a couple of days a week, and so the rest of the week you're just kind of training and laying back and picking spots.
And in
whatnot.
Dubai, it's more type of an American style training style because of the dirt racing there they have as well.
And that is an actual oval over there as compared to England. You mentioned, and I think a lot of people aren't familiar necessarily. It really is. They'll race someplace for a week or a couple of weeks, and then they're on to the next track. And as you say, the configuration
from course to course, and they're different. Every track is different and have their own unique style to it.
Does that? I'm guessing it does. To have a background like that and to put that kind of experience on your resume helps you as a trainer when you're moving around and you're going to different tracks and you got to train for different configurations and situations. That I would think that would be a bonus coming back
It does
here.
help. It does help. You learn a lot more things. You learn a lot more about the turf for one thing. Firm to soft turf. You learn a lot more about that. How your horses like firm or soft turf. So it's a little different, but it's a great skill to pick up. You learn something every day, as
Sure.
I say.
Talk about your training philosophy, if you have one specifically, but things like how you work out in the morning, how you get 2-year-olds ready to get to the races for the first time, that kind of thing.
Well, I generally don't like to see my horses work very fast. I'm not a guy that wants to see a bullet work every time they go out there. I'm a bit more conservative. I try to keep them hopefully sounded that way by just going a little easier, a little bit longer in their gallops and works. So I do believe in that, and I think it seems to work.
Training, running, and winning in Saratoga. Saratoga is certainly a different animal in the United States. Well, really worldwide. I always say Saratoga is certainly the best meat in the country, but I think it stacks up worldwide with some of the better meats. And so talk about being here and, as I say, training, running, and winding up in the winner's circle at Saratoga. What does that mean?
This is a very competitive meet. Everyone's trying to win. Everyone's placing their horses very aggressively where they could win. So you think you're dropping one down into a claiming rank, and you find out, well, it's no easier than the allowance race was. So it's very, very competitive. Everybody wants to win. And
it's got to be fun to play on the big stage, too, and in front of fans that are so knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate. We have some nice horses in the barn, and look forward to seeing them run, especially this weekend. I always try to get the horse people to comment too, because I always make the statement that the fun of Saratoga isn't confined within the fences of the racetrack. Part of it is you go downtown, and everybody's very knowledgeable, and I'm sure you get recognized around town. Very easily.
That's got to be fun.
Which is kind of nice. So you feel somewhat of a celebrity, but I don't want to feel that way. But I think, in general, the town, they know racing, and they really see it as a sport, and they really enjoy coming out here when the meet's on.
Go back, one of your bigger horses has gone on to have a career as a sire, that it keeps the name in the game. And if we go back to 2006, the Preakness, it was Bernardini. Give us an idea what it's like to have a horse like that in the barn, and then to be able to sit back and kind of see, I developed this horse who has now gone on to have a great second career as a sire. But go back and talk about Bernardini a little bit.
He was just an amazing horse. Like you could see right from the beginning when I had him, he looked like he just had so much potential, and he showed it on the racetrack. And to have a horse of that caliber in your barn just makes you get up, go to work in the morning, and just enjoy the game more and more. And he went on, won some great races, the Travers, and later on produced some very nice horses as well. So when you have that type of horse, it really just makes it a lot of fun.
And I'm always curious about this. You say early on. How do you know early on? Is it out on the racetrack, the workouts are good, and you say you're not a guy who puts necessarily a fast workout in, but is it the mental way they do it professionally, or is it how they are in the barn? You can just, I've had trainers say, some of those horses are just looking out and they're looking around, and you can just tell they're more clued into other horses. So how do you tell when you have a really special one?
Well, he just had the whole package. I mean, he had the looks, he had the intelligence, the demeanor. He did things on the track that was so easy compared to other horses that you even watch, the way he just floated on the track. You ask him to go an easy half in 49, he might do it in 47 on his own. So it was just things like that you might see that just came very, very easy and natural to him.
All right, let's take a look. You've got some coming up over the next couple of days. Again, the Curlin tomorrow. Let's take a look. Pulled up a replay of Hemsworth. I'm going to go back to last November for Hemsworth. we're going to look at the Nashua. Again, this was Aqueduct last November. Hemsworth is going to be the number 4 horse in here and win this really easily. I mean, we have a chart margin of, 9.5. Since then, the 3-year-old season hasn't been quite as good, but you're coming back in the Curlin tomorrow. Talk a little bit about the early promise we saw here last year with Hemsworth and what you expect tomorrow.
Well, last Saratoga, we had this horse in training as a 2-year-old, and we always felt he had a lot of potential. Ran a good 4th his first start. Came back, I thought he might improve a little bit, but he didn't really show it, but we still had a lot of confidence in him. And that's the reason why I ran him in the Nashua. I normally wouldn't run a horse in a grade 2 just to try to break his maiden, but the race was coming up light, and I just felt this horse had a lot of potential. And he went out, he ran a huge race that day. We were hoping that he might have went on and did some better things as a 3-year-old, but we gave him a little time off. We regrouped, ran him at Gulfstream. Ran very disappointing. We didn't know really what the problem was, but a couple of days later, found out he started to spike a fever and got sick, and he was probably right on top of something that we just, couldn't really see it coming on. And we just, regrouped again. Came back with a good run last time out, hoping that he'll use that race as a springboard. Hopefully come back in here to run a big race. All
right, so that's tomorrow in the Curlin. You got someone on Saturday as well. Let's take a look at the Amsterdam, and we're going to take a look at not the Amsterdam, the Vanderbilt, right?
The Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah, Ready for Rye in the Vanderbilt, and we have a replay here of Ready for Rye. We're going to go back to June, middle of June, down at Belmont Park. Ready for Rye is going to be the number 8 horse in here, 5-2 favorite, wins by a chart margin of over a length. I've followed this horse, and I've liked this horse throughout the career. We have some triple-digit buyers showing. This was the seasonal debut. This was over a muddy track. Maybe you're hoping for a little of that wet weather today.
Yeah, if the rain continues. I was complaining about the rain earlier, but if it continues into Saturday, we won't have any complaints. But he just seems like he finds another gear in the mud.
Yeah, and if it turns out to be a dry track, I mean, his dry track record is fine as well. What are you expecting overall for him? This is a tough little Vanderbilt.
It's a good race. We gave him a little time off. I was really happy with his return race. Hopefully that race will even tighten him up a little more for this. But he's such an honest horse. He runs his heart out every time he runs, and he's always right there. So I would expect to see the same sort of race from him. He's going to be, I think, right there.
Yeah, nice performer, over $700,000 in the bank. So he's going to be in the Vanderbilt. We'll move on now to the Bowling Green. Bowling Green, you had Sadler's Joy in there. I went back and pulled up the Pan American back in the beginning of April. The Pan American, Sadler's Joy is going to be the number 2 horse here. Just gets up by a head under Julien Leperot. You have Javier Castellano scheduled. Subsequent to this race that we're going to watch, he ran 3rd in the Man of War. He ran 3rd in the Manhattan. The buyer numbers are pretty good. 3 triple-digit buyers out of the last 4 races. What are your expectations for Sadler's Joy in the Bowling Green?
I really like this horse. I think he's an exciting horse that's, really going to be one of the top, horses going long this coming season. He runs hard every time. Got a great closing kick. I think we were a little bit unlucky when we ran him in the Man of War over soft ground. He was boxed in on the inside the entire race almost until the 8th hole before he could get out. Never really got into a good rhythm where he could use a stride. We came back in the Manhattan, he cutting back in distance. I thought he ran a huge race in the Manhattan. Broke a little awkwardly and then got a little far back, but came with a nice run like he always does. And I thought it was a huge race. Going a mile and 3/8 this week, I think it's going to just suit him a lot better.
Yeah, and again, we're watching the Pan American, where he is the number 2 horse and gets it done by a head late. Sadler's Joy in the Bowling Green on Saturday. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting weekend. We certainly wish you a lot of luck and throughout the remainder of the meet as well. Any 2-year-olds we maybe want to watch?
We're still a little bit behind with our 2-year-olds, so I can't really say much about them at the moment, but they're getting there. We do have a half-brother to Sadler's Joy in the works, so we may end up seeing him later in the meet.
What's the name?
Dynabuck.
Okay, all right. So we'll watch for that one, the sibling to the winner here down at Gulfstream. As I say, wish you good luck tomorrow in the Curlin and the 2 stakes on Saturday as well. And that's a nice late run.
It is, yeah.
Very good. So again, Tom, appreciate the visit this morning. Good luck over the weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Tom Albertrani, one in tomorrow in the curling, a couple on the weekend in the stakes action. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Mike Welch. We'll talk some more Saturday stakes right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrow.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Witnessed a felony.
On this Thursday morning, Thursdays throughout the meet again means a visit from either Mike Welch or Dave Grenig of the Daily Racing Forum. We'll kick things off with Mike. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on. Always happy to have you on, and happy to tout also the workout reports that folks can get drf.com. You do a great job, you and Mike Vesey up here at Saratoga, and I'm assuming that's the team again this year, Oklahoma and Main Track.
Same team, and also some pitch-ins from Dave Grenig. Grenig's a big help. He saw some works down at Belmont before we got up here. I went down there for a week, and then I came up, and Dave stayed behind, so he helps there. He helps over here. We've been getting so busy some mornings. He was a huge help to me this morning over on the main track after the break. We just got crushed today from start to finish. With all the rain earlier in the week, nobody worked. And then with rain coming in today, it looks like tomorrow's going to be a washout. So we had, I would guess, 150 workers on the main track alone this morning. So Dave was a help there as well.
You know, I don't think we've ever done this before. Explain a little bit what you actually do in the morning, because I was surprised to realize, and I think a lot of people were, you don't necessarily know who's out there on the track. You guys are kind of making notice of what the horses look like and then match that up in the afternoon. So just explain a little bit of your actual job clocking out there in the morning and the nuts and bolts of how it works.
Well, I mean, the first thing you do is you clock them. You can identify whose horses they are for the most part by the saddle towels. And then you kind of write down the marks on these horses, especially the teams, because you want to be able to separate the teams. If there's a chestnut and a bay or a brown and a gray, you know, that's easy when you find out who they are. But if you got a couple of bays or a couple of the same color, then you to separate them, you got to go to the marks. And I've got an account with the Jockey Club and Mike also, and we can go to the Jockey Club and go to the marks on the horses and do that. The clockers here are a big help, though. I work with them upstairs. It's kind of a pair-off deal. I help them clock, and they help me with the names. And but again, sometimes you just get the sets here, who worked with who, and then you'll have to separate them yourselves. But so you clock them first, try to identify the outfit, and then grab the marks on the teams, and then try to figure out later on who it is. And nobody's better at it than Mike Vesey, too. He's on the Oklahoma side. He's like the Ted Williams of clocking. He's got eyesight like nobody. He can see little marks on horses' hooves that I got to admit I can't see it. But he's terrific at it, so it's great to have him on our team.
Yeah, as I say, over the years I've learned more and more about it, and I'm always amazed at what goes into it. It's not just sitting there and you don't automatically know who they are. And it's not just
you got to come up to it right after the break on a Saturday or a morning like today, though, and you see about 6 or 7 teams or horses working at the same time. And it's a teamwork thing, too. It's not only me and Mike or me and Dave, but we've got the regular clockers, 3 or 4 other guys up there. I got this one, I got that one, and then you try to help each other out because one guy or 2 guys right after the break, you can't get them all. You gotta rely on some teamwork.
Are you working on the press box?
I work out of the press box here in the main track. Yeah, Mike works on the other side, and we both get together for turf works over there. We do those ourselves on the other side, and Mike will come up on the break sometimes too when he has a chance to help out when he knows it's going to be busy. So it is a teamwork kind of thing, and we get as many as we can. You sometimes can't get them all, but I think we do a pretty good job.
And again, you guys do a great job with the workout reports, and that's highly recommended. Folks can get that via the DRF, drf.com. And our friend Gary West, the writer for the Texas newspapers that's still punching around, he always said it's not how fast they work, it's how they work, and I'm assuming you would agree with that. And a lot of probably what you do is compare one work to previous works for horses.
You do that, and you could work. You got teams working. You know the abilities. A lot of times of the horses that work. Yesterday, for instance, the Danny Gargan first time starter that won. I saw him down at Belmont on the training track one morning, and he went head and head with an older horse that had won. I believe had won already, or was second or third in an older maiden race. So, when you see that kind of thing, and they could keep match strides, a young horse matches strides with an older, more proven horse. That's a pretty good indication of how good the work was as well.
Was that Trouble for Schuyler?
Trouble for Schuyler.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. Well, of course, we did have a scratch in there too that lowered the price as well, but I never expected him to be 4 to 5.
Yeah, I think 3 to 1 on the morning line.
He won like a 4 to 5 shot, though, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And just before we go on, also, I don't know that we've ever gotten into your background. We might have talked about that before, but I know you're a New England guy. And I wanted to toss out there a couple of weeks ago. I made my first and potentially my only visit to Suffolk Downs. And I said on the show a couple of days back, man, that's a nice place. And you sit there and you just lament. The facility is nice. They maintained it well. It was clean. And it's a function of the very shortened season of 3 2-day weekends. But they had a great crowd.
Yeah, well, they're a little racing starved up there right now. The dogs are gone. Yeah. There's one little harness track. That's where I cut my teeth. I grew up in New York, but I went to school in Boston, and that's where I started working for the Forum. Suffolk Downs, Rockingham, Narragansett, Lincoln Downs, the fairs, they're all gone. Everything's gone now. It's hard to believe, and this is the end of Suffolk, too. I think maybe next year they're going to do these little weekend things one more time. The Stronach people are in there trying to save racing in New England a little bit, but it's not going to be at Suffolk Downs. I think that property is sold. It's a done deal. It's going to be over there, if not after this year, next year. Yeah,
and as I say, it's a shame because I sat there and thought, because I wasn't expecting, I will readily admit, how nice it was when I walked in. And just the layout of the track itself, the infield, it's scenic. It's nice.
It's been a long time since I've been there, so I hardly remember exactly all the nuances, and I'm sure they've fixed up some areas for the simulcasting and such, but it brings a tear to your eye when you go up and that you cut your teeth on that. Rockingham, too. There was no nicer racetrack than Rockingham Park. They called it the Saratoga of New England back in the day. Then they had the fire. They rebuilt it. It wasn't quite the same, but the quality of the racing back when I started there was unbelievable. The trainers that would go there and the big-time names that showed up at Rockingham in the summer.
And didn't Bill Nader start up at Rockingham?
Bill Nader also did. We kind of came around together up there. So he went on to fame and fortune, and here I am trying to scuffle along and try to make a living. But no, Bill was a great guy.
I'd love to have you over in Hong Kong for a couple of years.
Bill was the PR guy there, but he did a little bit of everything. He helped hustle horses for stakes and whatever. So he went on to bigger and better things, and good luck to him.
Also, I say I may have one lifetime trip to Suffolk. I made one lifetime trip to Northampton for Zippy Chippy's last race. And that was nice. I like Northampton.
My favorite track of all, though, was Green Mountain Park. I worked there for 3 years. Unbelievable. Nestled right in the Green Mountains. It's sort of like Santa Anita, where the track is down here and you look around, the mountains are all around. I did it for 3 summers. The racing was cheap, but it was a lot of fun.
It's sort of like Santa Anita.
Yeah, well, the layout anyway, but it was just so much fun being there. The racing was at night. You had the days. We did race on Sunday afternoons. And what was the downfall of Green Mountain was when they started Sunday racing here.
Yeah, because that's really, there was no Sunday racing. That's where they made their, people come to Saratoga and, hey, we had another day of racing, but we just have to go across the Vermont border.
We'd race there Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoons, and you'd see the crowds come in the parking lot from all over New England, not just Vermont and maybe Massachusetts, Connecticut, everywhere, Maine. The cars they'd come in for the weekend. The motels would be packed. The restaurants would be packed. It was a little bit like Saratoga when those weekend races came up, and then once Saratoga started here, that was the end.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. Just even if I could have made it over for the dogs, but they had harness racing there for a while.
And they had a press box there. They could have held a Kentucky Derby there and housed all the press. It was huge, and there were about 4 of us in there throughout the meet. But it was it was on the roof. You had to climb across like a little bridge. It was kind of perilous, but once you got in the press box, you had it all. It was great.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry I missed that. All right, let's get back to Saratoga and talk a little Saratoga racing. We'll hit on the Saturday stakes in a minute, but let's talk about the stakes race today. It was notable before we came on. You said you were talking to Linda Rice, and as it has started raining here, this may be notable. Linda, I think, was doing a little bit of a rain dance in the Morrissey. I talked earlier, Brian Edo, on the handicapping show, really liked Papa Shot. I used busting it on the good form, the 4-race win streak. But as you say, Linda may be happy with the wet weather.
She told me she was going to run Gypsum Johnny for sure, and then she was going to wait and see what Papa Shot, see how much speed was in there, because he's going to be closing, and also the weather. She said if the track came up wet, she was probably going to run this horse. So it looks like there's plenty of speed. It looks like the track's going to be wet. It's starting to rain now, and it looks like more coming. So I'm going to guess Papa Shot will stay in. And I think this horse has a big chance. Last time, kind of got close early, took back, and then closed a little bit to be second to Diversify, going 1.16 miles, turning back to 6.5. This horse should be flying at the end. It remains to be seen how this track's going to play. If it gets wet as the day goes on, maybe it'll favor speed. Maybe it'll help the closes, those swooping closes.
Yeah.
And if it does, Papa Shot's Celtic Chaos would be the ones to beat. We'll also see scratches could affect, how this is going to go. Busting it, strictly speed. Weekend Hideaway on the rail, though, he's got no choice. He's got to go. There's some speed on the outside. Fish Trap Road, putting blinkers on, he's going to go. So it looks like it should set up for a closer, but we'll see how the track plays and how the scratches come up. Still no word there yet.
Field of 12 scheduled. Should be a fun event, the feature today, the co-feature after the Smithwick that kicks off today. All right, let's get to some of the action on the weekend. The Amsterdam, the 3-year-olds sprinting 6.5 furlongs, grade 2 event. I pulled up an allowance from early June, down at Belmont. We'll watch Cole Front win there. This was win number 2 and start number 2 for the Pletcher trainee. Singing Bullet comes in off a Churchill win. You have Toga Challenger in here off a couple of wins most recently. It's a small field, but I think it's kind of a select field. But certainly betting-wise, I think the Pletcher runner off the 97 Buyer, this race we're watching here, is going to take the action.
If I remember correctly, Cole Front was the best 2-year-old Todd had training here last summer, and then he got hurt pulling up after a very fast
gate work. I think you're right.
So, now he's run twice. He's run to that potential. I think he's probably going to be the favorite. Obviously, experience-wise, this is his first start in the stake, but this horse looks like he could be any kind. So he's going to be the favorite in here. Got to respect Mo Cash coming out of Florida, though. This horse was second to an older horse, Quixote, in his stakes, 2 starts back, going 7/8 of a mile. And then last time in the carryback, I thought he was going to beat 3 Rules. 3 Rules was even money that day. Looked like it had him measured. Right at the end, 3 Rules asserted his class and experience edge a little bit and ran him down. They were half a pole ahead of the rest of the field. So if he could come up here and adapt to this track and run as well as he did in his last race, Mocash should be very tough to beat. But again, I think they're still going to have to beat Cold Front. This horse looks like a future, or gave the impression he was going to be a future graded stakes winner, and he may get that right in his first stake start in his stakes and graded stakes debut today.
Yeah, interesting. Very lightly raced 3-year-old in a year where the 3-year-olds still haven't defined themselves. We'll see if that gets a little shaken up this weekend. The H.E. Vanderbilt also on the card, 3-year-olds and up going 6 furlongs. It's a grade 1 event. And for this one, I pulled up a replay. I went back to the decathlon, June 11th down at Monmouth. And we're going to watch El Deal for George Navarro. Second triple-digit Beyer win in a row. 2 starts back, 1 down at Charlestown. So has been out of town, obviously, but for a while was down in your neck of the woods, down at Gulfstream, late last year, early this year. But as I say, the last couple of Charlestown and this decathlon, we're watching a couple of triple-digit Beyers. But this field's kind of loaded. Awesome banner, I think, on any given day can fire big. Ready for ride. We talked with Tommy Albatrani. He's one capable limousine liberal, good sprint stakes quality performer, as is AP Indian, with a whole slew of triple digits showing on the page.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how good El Deal is. He's certainly a lot better since he moved into George Navarro's barn. Even George doesn't quite know how good he is. He said that's why he's running him here. He said it's the second half of the year has started. I got to find out what I got, where he stands. I'll get a pretty good idea in here. Now, there is a lot of speed, and he's part of it. AP Indian hasn't run since finishing second to Whitmore in the Maryland Sprint. We've got to mention that what happened. Whitmore, unfortunately, was supposed to be in the race. He shipped here. He hurt a foot. He got a little minor foot injury on the flight over. Being protective, trainer Ron Moquette and his owners decided let's not push it, even though at the time when they noticed the injury, this was yesterday morning, they probably could have ended him and waited to see. They were going to be totally cautious. As it turned out, I got a text message from Ron Moquette this morning showing me a tape of Whitmore actually going to the track this morning. So apparently that injury is nothing serious at all as he thought, but held him out here. He's going to train here. We'll see where he winds up next, but he's not in here. AP Indian also missed the start in the Belmont Sprint, a scheduled start there due to a little minor issue coming out of a work, so he's a little bit of a question mark. He's speed as well. He won this race last year, just stalking the pace and then drawing off the win. Hasn't won yet this year. Maybe he's lost a step. It's hard to say, but he's going to be tough in here. Green Grotto's going to show speed. So I like the way the race sets up. I'm going to take Birdsong. Birdsong turning back from a slew of longer races. Going to sprint now. I think Ian Wilkes figures sprinting, 1 turn is his game. This horse worked just super. That bullet work on July 22nd, that 47-1. The racetrack was on the slow side when he worked the other day, and that he made it look fast. And he also had to wait as there was an injured horse on the track. So he was out there about a half hour before he worked, and got very hot, got very warm, but still worked 47-1, did it easy, galloped out. I think this horse is sitting on a big outfit. If he could sit back and get that pace, I like Birdsong at a little bit of a price.
He's a sentimental favorite with Mary Lou Whitney being the owner.
And Limousine Liberal also coming in from Kentucky. So it's a very well-matched field. And I believe this is a win and you're in. Is it a win and you're in?
I think you're right.
As well, so it's an important race.
All right, Bowling Green, grade 2 event, 1 mile and 3/8. I pulled up the United Nations last time. We're going to watch number 3, Bigger Picture. Getting it done. Bigger Picture's got the rail post position, but coming out of a nice triple-digit Beyer win down at the United Nations. That one's absolutely live. We talked with Tom Albatrani. I think his horse with the triple digits he's fired in the last 4 starts is certainly a player in here. Ascend comes out of a win in the Manhattan most recently. Field is 7, but I think you can make a case for 3 or 4 of them and have a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, you could probably make a case for a bunch of them in here. So Ascend, a big effort, beating Time Test, that's a pretty good accomplishment. Yeah. This horse has never been better, and he seems to be training well coming into this one. I think it's his race to lose coming off that last race. Time Test would probably be 4 to 5 or even money in here. if Chad Rowe chose to run him in this race. So I'm going to go with Ascend again. Bigger picture, can he run 2 triple-digit buyers in a row? That's the question. He's never done that before. He does have a win over the course, so that's certainly in his favor. But to me, I'm going with Ascend, except it's like, you know the old saying, you're not going to go to the funeral if you missed the wedding. He was 27-1 in the Manhattan. He's not going to be 27-1.
Speaking of
on
which,
Saturday.
How about the Wayne Lucas horse the other day?
Yeah, that was quite a wedding. 99-1. But money's a great equalizer sometimes. It's really hard, even looking back, to figure out how that horse won the race. But wet track, plenty of experience, a lot more than some of the others in there. But it's still a bit of a head scratcher.
That's going to be my new saying. I had never thought about that. You hear that? Yeah, you missed the wedding. Don't go to the funeral. Yeah, it's a bit long. Quite a wedding. Quite a wedding. You're absolutely right. Finally, let's look at the Jim Dandy. A small but select field with a couple of Triple Crown race winners in here, and Always Dreaming and Cloud Computing. And I pulled up the Preakness, which had the dud by Always Dreaming, who fades at the top of the stretch. Classic Empire took the lead there. Folks were wrongly critical of Julian Lepereau. He fell into the lead. He wasn't getting aggressive. It's
I don't agree with anybody that criticized Julian
because
for his ride.
Always Dreaming just gave it up. He had no choice. So Classic Empire takes the lead and looks good, but then a big late move from Cloud Computing. And again, Always Dreaming now going to have to validate what we saw in the Derby. Cloud Computing coming off of this nice win. The other three look a little outmatched.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what happened to Always Dreaming there. Maybe it was just a bounce coming off a big effort in the Derby and coming back in 2 weeks. That's not Todd's style. He's looked good training here. I've seen him on the track the last few mornings on the main track. He's back to galloping in the draw reins again, but not with that over-aggressive style that he had prior to the Derby, but they do have the draw reins on him. I did not see his last work. It was over to the training track, but Mike Vesey liked what he saw over there. I liked what I saw of him here on July 16th. Cloud Computing's training well. Look, to me, this is a great race to watch. It's not a race to bet. You get 2 horses, hard to separate them, short prices. Giuseppe the Great probably be the pace setter. I'm going to guess, stretching out from 7 and a mile, I'm going to think they're going to want to take Always Dreaming back off of him, but he's still eligible to an A other than. Pavel, huge maiden win, tough spot to come over, ship all the way across country to run against the Derby and the Preakness winner. And Good Samaritan has been a bit of a disappointment in his 3 turf races so far this year, so they're going to take a shot, try him on dirt. It's a small field. He's worked okay on the dirt, but ultimately it looks like this horse's best game is turf. But you don't want to leave these things on the table. With the Travers coming up, why not take a shot in the dirt? And if he handles it well and runs well, maybe you take a shot back in the Travers for Good Samaritan.
I said it earlier. Do you agree that these 3 races, Jim Dandy, Haskell, and the Travers, will probably put a leader in the clubhouse at the end of the summer in the 3-year-old division, which at this point it's hard to put your finger on anybody?
Yeah, you would expect that. Unless you get some crazy kind of results. If Pavel wins this race, I don't know what that means. But hopefully, if all goes well, the Haskell winner and maybe top 2 finishes will show up in the Travers. These 2 will show up in the Travers. The Belmont winner is scheduled to show up in the Travers. So for Todd, the
I'll be interested to see if they come with IRAP. Who I think is interesting right now.
Yeah, no, he's certainly back on top of his game, but the Travers really, really shaping up as quite a race. Yeah. This race here, having the Derby and the Preakness winner, it's the first time ever that Jim Dandy has had the Derby and the Preakness winner. If you have all 3 Triple Crown winners meeting in the Travers, I mean, you won't be able to get near the place.
Runaway Groom. I had Runaway Groom that day, so I remember the last time the 3 Triple Crown winners faced off.
And you got Irish War Cry over there in the Haskell. Classic Empire. Hopefully they'll get him back. He's pointing for the Travers. So wow, something really good to look forward to.
Just got about a minute left, but I wanted to just go back over the weekend and see what you thought were the standout performances. I thought we had great stakes races. Lady Eli, Abel Tasman yesterday, Paula Silverlining. I had Finney's Lucky Charm. I thought, 50 yards from the wire, I thought it had it. Paula Silverlining comes back, and on just an undercard race, Tacklefull looked very good.
Total shocker, in the price yesterday that Paula Silverlining was 8-5. And Finley's Lucky Charm even money, but it sure looked like if you took that even money, you were home at the end, and then more that last surge from Paula Silverlining, asserting a class. Now, 2-time Grade 1 winner. Now she's got 3 wins in a row since switching over to Chad's barn. Yeah, Lady Eli was terrific. Abel Tasman 2, both races, you had to sweat out inquiries. Yeah. Both decisions probably could have gone either way.
That's what I said.
Was thinking on Sunday, after they left the number up on Saturday, they really couldn't take the number down on Sunday, but you probably could have made a little case for it. So, yeah, I mean, a terrific start to the meet. If that's what we're going to get, if that's just an indication of what we're going to see as we go down the road here, those two races were something special.
Yeah, nice ding-dong battles all weekend long and into the new week as well. Mike, absolutely appreciate the visits. As I say, you and Dave alternating on Thursdays, but again, highly recommend the workout report via drf.com. Keep up the good work. We'll talk again.
Be glad to do it, and be looking forward to coming back again.
All right, Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum. Again, you can catch his work, the hard copy or drf.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, Carrie Briand, she's going to be riding in the steeplechase in a little while. We'll talk a little bit about that and much, much more. Stay tuned.
No matter what you're craving or when you crave it, we've got plenty of options for you. Whether it's a hearty breakfast, light lunch, or relaxing dinner, our full-service restaurant and bar will satisfy your every taste. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Don't miss the 2017 Thoroughfan Annual Awards Brunch with special guest speaker Donna Barton Brothers. This annual event is Saturday, August 12th at the Embassy Suites in Saratoga Springs, New York. Go to thoroughfan.com for tickets and information.
With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout the region, you're just a short drive from all the top tracks across the country and around the world. For a complete list of all Easy Bet and branch locations, visit capitalotb.com. Capital OTB. We're closer than you think.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. Bet any place, anytime at capitalotbbet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
With Saratoga's best outdoor patio, a spacious bar, and plenty of off-street parking, it's the perfect place to meet friends and relax after an exciting day at the track. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. It is raining here at Saratoga right now, so we have to keep up with scratches and changes. Keep that in mind as things move along. It may change things for the steeplechase race this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes on that, but we've plugged in with Carrie Briand, who's riding for my man Jonathan Shepard. Folks who watch the show enough know I'm a huge Jonathan Shepard fan, so All the Way Jose is in my mix. We'll talk a little bit about that and what may happen to the race due to the weather, but certainly wanted to bring Carrie in this morning because not only is she riding, she's an assistant to our man Jonathan Shepard. Carrie Briand. I said Briand before. I gave it a little flair.
Yeah, it's simple, just Brian.
There you go. That works. That works. As I say, you're an assistant for Jonathan Shepard, riding the horse All the Way Jose in the Smithwick, which the game plan is, if it comes off, it's going to be rescheduled for
Monday. It'll be rescheduled for Monday if they decide to take it off. I mean, the horses are used to running in this, but it's a little bit of a different dynamic being at the racetrack.
And it hasn't been decided yet.
No,
but that would be the game plan.
There's been no, decision, but that would be what happened.
Okay, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about you and your background. How'd you get into the game?
I worked for actually Ronnie and Betsy Houghton in Pennsylvania, who foaled Princess of Stillmar.
Oh, nice. There you go. That's a good start.
Yeah, for 8 years, and I rode and was an assistant for them as well, and then went to college for a semester, missed the horses, came back, started galloping for Jonathan, and became an assistant like 5 years ago, and decided I wanted to ride jump races, and it kind of went from there.
And reading your bio, it said you went to college on a pole vaulting scholarship.
I did, yeah. Out in near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, IUP, yeah. And I was real good in high school, I guess. I went to states and everything, but the horses were always where it was at. So couldn't keep me away.
What was your? I don't know. What would they call it? Your height?
My height? I went 12'3".
12'3".
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, that was high.
All right.
Not anymore. Like, it's gotten a lot more competitive, but back then it was.
And it seems like pretty early on you realized that was not the path, but the racetrack had its siren song.
I was athletic in high school and played a bunch of sports and whatnot, but the horses were always what it was about. So
fill us in because, as I say, I've been a big fan of Jonathan Shepard for years, and I think not everybody, but I think a lot of people are like me, where they latch on to some trainer here at the Saratoga meet who makes them some money over the years, and then you're plugged right in. And certainly, Jonathan Shepard has done well by me over the years. And the guy's a legend. He's been in the Hall of Fame, and wins on the jump side, wins on the flat side. He's trained champions on both sides of the game as well. It just has to be a real experience to be plugged in under a master like that.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, someday I want to train on my own. Not right now by any means, but someday. And like, I couldn't be learning from someone better. I mean, every day. I mean, before I would sometimes be like, why are we doing this? And I've learned, like, there is a reason for everything, and it 9 times out of 10 works. Even if I think like, don't question him. He clearly knows. He's been doing this long enough, but he's incredible to work under, and he teaches me something every day. And I mean, so supportive. And I mean, anyone else, I've been trying to ride races for a while, and I never really had a good break and whatnot. And I mean, he was very supportive, and he found a couple owners in the last 2 years that were supportive of giving me a chance, and like, that's how I'm here today. So he's been so supportive in every way. I mean, I have a horse at his farm. He lets me keep there and train on my own, like, just for a little something. Sure. And I mean, he's great to me, and I mean, I couldn't be learning from him.
So are you based, is your workplace based on his farm in Pennsylvania?
In the farm in Pennsylvania. We have about 75 horses there, so that's where I am most of the time. Steeplechase horses, flat horses, some of the best horses. He always brings them back to the farm to train them at some point, so I have everybody there at some point.
And as I understand it, it's not necessarily on a track there. A lot of it is up and down the hills and out in the country.
Hills. We work out in a crazy field, down a hill, around a turn, and up a stretch. No, it's not conventional, but it works. I mean, he tells me stories about Stormcat out in the field that I gallop in now. So, I mean, it's worked. So you don't question it.
Speaking of Stormcat, as I was reading some bio information, you mentioned starting out with the Princess of Silmar folks.
Yeah.
But then one of the articles I read had you moving into the Shepherd barn just in time to be there with Informed Decision and Forever Together.
Yeah,
so it's pretty.
I walked into the barn the first day, and like, there's the 2 gray mares staring at me, and I'm like, is this real life? I mean, like, you just, you see them on the TV. And I had the privilege of riding Forever and Informed, and Just As Well, and Cloudy's Night. I've sat on all of them, so some more than others, but I mean, that's incredible to say that I've been around horses to that caliber.
You're married to a jockey, correct?
I am.
A local guy, I understand.
He's from here, Andrew Wolfson. He grew up in Boston Spa, and he rides in the Mid-Atlantic now. He rides quite a bit for Jonathan and other people as well, but he's made his mark down in the Mid-Atlantic near the farm and whatnot.
So how did you transition from assistant trainer into the riding side of things?
There's point-to-point races, which aren't for money, but kind of training races, and I rode a bunch of those just on the flat, kind of to give our horses prep races, and Jonathan likes to save them for the big day, so if I'm riding them, I'm not going to give them as hard of a race as one of the professional jockeys are. So I started there, and I rode a couple races like that, and I did the amateur races on the flat out of the gate and everything, and I just started schooling a lot of hurdles at the farm, and I just thought it was something I really wanted to try to do. And once I kind of put my mind to something, I really didn't want to be like, I can't. It took me 5 years to really get riding, and the last 2 years now I've had some really good breaks, and I've been winning races, and I've been really lucky. But yeah, I still do it all. I mean, Danny Hodson, who rode a bunch of races for Jonathan before me, did the same thing. She was an assistant and took care of all the horses like her own, and I don't want to say I'm her exactly, but it did the same thing she did there. You know, she did the same, took care of the horses and did everything like that. So I kind of just fell into that spot, I would say.
Well, speaking of winning races, we're going to go back to the end of May down at Fair Hill and watch you win on All the Way Jose. That's the horse you're scheduled to ride in the Smithwick. As we watch this replay, I will also comment, hats off to the steeplechase people, because as a TV guy myself, we'll pick it up and they'll be showing the race with a drone. This is like a great angle. They cut back to a regular camera, but I think I said this is just poetic to watch. You're second here with All the Way Jose, but look at the move, and then he draws off. This was a pretty nice performance. Talk about this and coming into the Smithwick.
You know, so this horse actually had a wind problem, a breathing problem in his last 2 years. He had a botched surgery and had to get it redone and this and that. That's why his form trailed off in the last 2 years prior to this. And I didn't ride him his first start of the year, but he ran a pretty good third against good horses, and he came back and I rode him at Nashville, the race before this one at Fair Hill, going 3 miles, and he ran a really good second there, and I think he realized he could breathe again. And I thought, let's put blinkers on him, and I talked to Jonathan about putting blinkers on him because his jumping was just not quite as on as it could have been at Nashville. And I mean, obviously I've never ridden a grade 1 horse before, but the way he performed at Fair Hill, I mean, I think he has a real legitimate shot today in here. He's coming to form,
I have to ask, a little bit excited about the potential walking into the winner's circle for a grade 1 in Saratoga?
I am. I've never ridden here before, and this is my first race as a grade 1. So.
Have you been to Saratoga before?
Yeah, plenty. I ran the meet for Jonathan 2 years ago, and I was up here a bunch last year, and, you know, everything, but it's on the bucket list. I just never thought.
So realize you're going to start the new streak for Jonathan, perhaps.
I'm aware of the pressure,
And I remember, didn't he come down to the last race last year?
It did. Luck was not on our side, but we start a new one.
All might happen today again in the Smithwick. Boy, we wish you guys a lot of luck. As I said, I'm a huge Jonathan Shepard fan, so it's fun to talk to somebody in the team and kind of not in the team on both sides of the equation, assistant training and riding as well. As we said at the top, it is raining. If the steeplechase race, if they decided, it would get moved to Monday, not to the main track, obviously. So that would be the game plan, but no decision has been made there so far. Well, that would be like a grueling weekend if you had.
I'm like ready to go now.
No,
so
sure.
and actually, my horse likes it soft, the ground to be soft. He won Fair Hill; it was very soft. So I'm okay with this rain.
We're crossing our fingers. All the way, Jose, for Jonathan Shepard and Kerry Bryan today. Hopefully in the AP Smithwick, and then I'm assuming probably onto the Turf Riders.
That would be the hope.
Put 2 grade 1s at Saratoga on the resume.
Calm down.
I'm getting way ahead of everything.
Calm down.
Kerry, again, we wish you and Jonathan Shepard a lot of luck this afternoon and success throughout the meet as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kerry Bryan, again, assistant to Jonathan Shepard. Not only that, riding for Jonathan in today's Smithwick. Potentially it might get moved, but all the way, Jose coming out of that nice win we saw down at Fair Hill. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. We're here every racing day, every racing weekday from 10 until 11 a.m. Tomorrow, handicapper support kicks off at 9 a.m. In the meantime, enjoy the races. Let's all cash a few tickets. Meet back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.